did a double feature today and got a chance to see Whitebird with Helen Mirren and Gillian Anderson. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And so I got a chance to see this movie with Gillian Anderson and Helen Mirren that I had never even heard of. I was just scrolling through what my theater was playing, and I saw this movie come up, and I am a huge fan of World War II movies, so I wanted to check it out. Plus, with Joker coming out and how bad that was, I tend to lean, kind of like what I'm doing with comics right now, I tend to lean more into the independent market because they're just better films, even if they have a lower budget. But before we get into it, remember to give me a like and give me a subscribe if you can. And also, we're talking about comics. This is my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood. This is a 50-page graphic novel. It's number 2. I also have number 1 available, and the artwork is pretty good inside, but I'm going to be doing my print run. I'm actually starting the print run coming up tomorrow. So you still have time. I can always adjust that over the next couple of weeks. So if you want a copy, let me know. I am autographing them. Just give me a comment in the video, and I'll take care of it, or I'll hit you back up. Plus, finally, we launched Mythlord's classic Monsters card game with art by Mark Spears, who does a bunch of covers from Marvel and DC, among others. And we're about almost halfway to goal now. We launched a couple of days ago, and it's doing pretty well. So just jump in there if you want to. We could use all the help we can get at this point to get over that goal and get some stretch goals going. But anyway, the link in the description below. But also, you can just go to mythlords.net, and it'll take you right there. All right? So jump in there so we can unlock some stretch goals. I'm really excited to unlock some of them. Plus, it comes with little figures of Dracula and Frankenstein and things to that effect. All right, so let's jump back into Whitebird. So Whitebird is a film based on a book. It is not based on a true story. It is inspired by a true story, which means, it takes place in, Nazi Germany. Well, not Germany. Here it's France. So this is the story of occupied France. But there were certain territories in France that were free zones. And they were told, all the people that lived in this residential areas of free zones were told that Nazis would not come into this area. So, of course, anything that has to do with war and governments, whatever promises they make you, chances are they're going to renege on them eventually, and that's what happened here. So the Jews were all told that they could congregate here, and they wouldn't be bothered. And then, of course, a year later, they were all being rounded up. So don't believe that shit. But yeah, I'm a big fan of historic stuff, especially when it comes to wartime stuff. And that also goes into the fact that I've written my own Holocaust biography, and it's called Escape from Berlin, the Diane Jacobs story. So, but mine is based, it's a biography, of course, so it's based on a true story, not inspired by a true story, which means the events in here actually happened, as opposed to inspired, that it's all fiction, but based in the historic realm. Okay, so, but yeah, this is on Amazon. I can't afford it right now, but I'd love to turn this into an Audible book as well. But there's pictures in here of Diane and things to that effect. She has passed over the last few years, but yeah, if you want to really see a story of empowerment, you should definitely check that out. And I think that's one of the problems with the film here, because why is this movie not getting wide release? I have no idea. It's because it's First of all, it's Lionsgate. Second of all, you have two major actors in here. Yes, they're not the main actors. The main actors are two children, okay? And I say children, but they're probably in their teens. But they're kids. So they're the main actors, and they were very, very, very good. They were able to hold this film up on their own, considering she's done just about nothing. She had one credit before this I never heard of. He's got a few, and I think that Children of the Corn is the only thing I recognized. So they were able to hold this together on their own, with Gillian Anderson making an appearance, and then Helen Mirren playing the older version, telling the story to her grandson. So she's just interjected, and she probably worked 3 days the entire film. But this is really not an independent film, and that's why I'm very interested about why this film did not get wide release. Is it because of the Jewish thing right now? I'm not Jewish, just FYI, so I have no skin in this game. However, I have a lot of friends that are Jewish. And why is this not being front and center in the theaters? Why is it having a very small release? It's almost like they're throwing it under the radar on purpose. Because who've heard of it? I mean, I'm a big movie fan, and I never heard of this film. Again, the only reason I knew about it is because I was scrolling through my theater. So is it because of the Palestine-Israel thing? Is that why this thing was just thrown under the radar? And if that's the case, that's very sad. Because of all of the wars that have happened through the years, through the decades, World War II is probably the most human events. And I'm not talking about the Reich because that's the most inhuman, right? But it does, even the Reich has a story because it shows how people can be swept up in something that they know is wrong. But they go with the flow anyway. So there's a poignant story on that side as well. However, on the side of the persecution, we get to, that has persecution. It has heroes, sacrificing their lives in some case, risking their lives in most cases. And then you have non-Jews that were taking in people knowing that they would be assassinated, set in front of a firing squad, literally, if they helped these people. So, things like Schindler's List, that's why everybody tells stories about this war as opposed to any other war. Because there's so many facets of humanity within it. But it even has stuff that refers to today's time, where she at one point, when they start seeing this change in their community, they see that Jews are not, and they were called subhuman back then also. Jews were subhuman to Nazis. That's what they would actually put, and this is because it's in my book too. These are things that I learned during interviewing Diane. In their passports, it would actually say subhuman. But we're seeing, not to that extent, but something similar, where she would go to restaurants, whatever else, and bakery was the actual thing that we saw, but we saw some others later on that she just passed, that had a sign that so we don't serve Jews. Well, what happened recently with J.D. Vance? Where J.D. Vance went to a restaurant and they refused to serve him because of his political affiliation. Very similar, I gotta say it. So, whatever amount of the aisle you're on, you gotta know that's wrong. That's what makes everything in World War II very poignant, because history repeats itself. And unfortunately, that may be in this country as well. So going back to the movie itself, this has to do with Sarah. So Sarah is a very uppity girl. She's from a wealthy family, which Diane was as well in my book. Very wealthy family. Her dad was a doctor. Her mom was a mathematician teacher, mathematics teacher, at I think it was at a university. But anyway, she couldn't wait to wear her new shoes, things like that. So, and there was a boy that had gotten polio and it messed up his leg. So he was basically walking around with a crutch. So she wouldn't give this boy the time of day. He was trying to be nice to her. He liked her. And her friends couldn't wait to make fun of him. So meanwhile, the day came when she drew. She liked to draw. Her original art wasn't very good, but as it progressed, it actually got better. So this was the day happened where the Jews were getting rounded up. The other teachers helped get them out of the school. The guy that was helping them get out was killed. I'm not going to really go through spoilers here, and she ends up escaping. She almost gets caught again, but he brings her into his home, which is Gillian Anderson, and there's his mother, and of course he has a father. So, and they're afraid that the people next door are sympathizers for the Nazis and will inform on them. So they have to keep her in the barn, even though during the winter there's holes in it, stuff like that. She was probably freezing her ass off there. And she had to stay there for what could have been a couple of years. So I think it takes place in 1942, 1943. The war ended at the end of 1945. But anyway, since that happened, she had no idea what happened to her parents. So her parents could have been rounded up as well, but she lost track of her parents throughout that entire thing. The relationship occurs, even though they're teenagers, because, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, she can't leave the barn. He's the only person there, and he's a sweet guy. So, and they get to spend a whole lot of time together. She gets to see him for who he is, and then apologizes for the way that she was treated, or the way she treated him. But yeah, so it's a very, very good film. I really enjoyed it. I mean, is it an action-packed movie? No. It's really a romance movie between teenagers with the backdrop of the looming threat of anybody at any time could get arrested. That's the movie in a nutshell. I really enjoyed it. If you have a dry eye by the time this thing's over, you're not human. I don't know. I thought they did a really good job. The director directed like World War Z and stuff to that effect. I mean, it's these two, the guy who wrote it and the guy who directed it are huge. Mark Foster is the director, and Mark with a K and Mark with a C. Baumbach is the writer. Mark Foster, I just want to tell you what these guys have done, because this is with a $40 million budget. That's what the two movies I just went to see, Monster Summer. These amount of credits were like 7 minutes, and Monster Summer was like 2. So yeah, World War Z. He directed and produced. A Man Called Otto, Christopher Robin, The Kite Runner, Monsters Ball. I mean, this guy's a huge, huge director. So yeah, so he's probably, a $5-10 million director by himself. And then you have this writer who's also probably a multi-million-dollar writer. So of course, and then when you put in Gillian Anderson and you put in Helen Mirren, yeah, you could jump up to $40 million pretty quick. But why have a limited release? Yeah, this guy the writer also produced the Planet of the Apes movies. So it's just crazy. He wrote the new Total Recall, which I do like. I hate to say it, but I do like. I do like the new one. I think I did another video that has the comparison between the two. He did Legends. He did Wolverine. He did Unstoppable. He did Deception. I mean, Live Free and Die Hard. He wrote a pile of stuff, dude. And so, yeah, $40 million film, and then you don't wide release it. I'm just baffled. Anyway, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I thought it really did a good job telling this story that's very similar to Anne Frank, but giving me a twist on it that I hadn't seen before with the romance side. And definitely you can check out, go to Amazon and look up Escape from Berlin, the Diane Jacobs story, and you'll see that. I think I have my Amazon link in the description below anyway. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And check out my other review for Mel Gibson's Monster Summer as well. And also remember to check out the link below for Mythlord's classic Monsters card game, or you can go to mythlords.net. Play as your favorite classic monster with Dracula, Frankenstein, Creature from Deep, Wolfman. You're building a monster army, you're attacking locations, fun stuff. Anyway, it's very easy to learn, and it's just a strategy you'll learn as you play. All right, check out some other videos as well. Thank you again for watching all the way to the end. Like and subscribe, and have a great week.